You would not survive a single voyage in the age of exploration. No beds, no clean water, just spoiled food, brutal storms, and weeks without seeing land. Tonight, we sail back in time onto the creaking decks of a 16th century ship where sailors lived hard, slept little, and feared every shadow on the waves. If this kind of sleepy history helps calm your mind, leave a like, subscribe for more, and let me know in the comments what time it is and where you are watching from. Now close your eyes and let the ocean carry us away. You were not born a sailor. Your boots had holes in the soles. Your fingers were always cracked and cold, and there was never enough wood for the fire. You were born poor, dirt poor, in a village where winters bit through stone walls, and hunger was something you tasted every night. One morning, word spreads. A ship is docked just 2 towns over. The captain is taking on men, no experience needed. Just hands willing to work, and feet willing to go where few dare. You walk there, it takes a day and a half. You carry nothing. You are herded into a line of other desperate men. Some are younger than you, their eyes still filled with wonder. Others are gaunt and sickly, hoping to outrun debt, prison, or worse. Just the rags on your back and the hope that maybe, just maybe, you will earn coin and come back richer than a lord. Shoves a mark stick into your hand. You do not read. You press the stick into the paper anyway. Everyone is tired, even before the ship leaves. The dock smells of brine, pitch, and fish left too long in the sun. When it is your turn, the purser barely looks at you. He scratches something into a list. The ship looms behind them, its hull dark as a cave, its ropes tangled like a spider web. You dream of falling off the edge of the world. Your lips crack. Water is rationed. Bread is filled with bugs. You eat it anyway. Speak when told. Step fast or get whipped. Never question the bosun. Always obey the captain. A thick, humid air that clings to your throat. You are now a sailor. When it rains, you smile. Rain means water. Rain means clean. The sky turns black, and the sea rises like a beast. You learn fear, real fear. Ropes swing like whips. Barrels roll loose. Men pray to gods they barely remember. They give you a coarse wool shirt, a slop chest of old clothes that once belonged to a dead man, and a sack for your things. They have crossed oceans, buried friends, eaten rats. They work in silence, eyes hollow, voices low. There is no space. Your hammock is inches from another man. The floor is wet, always wet. As you step on board, it hits you. The smell, not the sea, but men, sweat, urine, mold, grease, stronger but weaker somehow too. The voyage has just begun, and already your body is changing. Your back aches, your eyes squint against the glare of the water, your feet bleed. Below deck is a coffin of wood and shadows. You are shown a place to sleep, which is just a canvas sheet strung between beams. You meet the crew. You do not speak much. They do not either. When the sails rise, they snap like whips. The deck creaks. The captain shouts in a language half foreign to you. The ship begins to move. The land disappears behind you, slow at first, then all at once. Days blur. You are always sore. Your hands blister from rope work. Your skin burns from the sun, then peels. Some nights you lie awake, rocked by the ship, wondering why the stars look so cold. The ocean stretches forever. There are rules, unwritten ones. You learn fast. There are men here who do not care. if you live or die. You will become one of them, or you will not last. One morning, a man is gone, swept overboard. No one says a word. They just keep working. So do you. The days grow hotter. Your shirt is always damp. Salt dries on your skin. But when it storms, you survive. This time, you are thinner now. There is no glory here. Only the creak of old wood, the sigh of wind through sails, and the endless blue beyond the railing. The sea has taken you, and it will not let you go. The sea does not care who you were on land. Once the shoreline fades into mist, and the sails have settled into their groaning rhythm, time becomes something else entirely. There are no hours, only bells, no weekdays, only shifts, no end, only water. You wake before the sun, if you ever slept at all. The hammock sways gently beneath your back, but your spine aches, and your nose is filled with the smell of damp wool and unwashed bodies. You scramble up the ladder to the deck above, where the sky greets you cold, pale, and infinite. The sun is not up yet, but the world is already awake, thick with the heat of breath, with the stink of salt and grease, and with the unrelenting closeness of dozens of men pressed together in a space not made for comfort. Someone snores nearby, someone else coughs, deep and wet. There is no privacy here. You dress in the dark, if you ever removed your clothing in the first place. The air below deck is thick. Salt eats everything it touches. Wood, rope, skin. You are handed a bundle of reeds tied together, your only brush, and a bucket of sand and water. You knock the weevils out first. Some eat them anyway. More protein, they say, calloused. Your fingers crack from the constant exposure to brine and wind, but no one complains. Complaints are not welcome on board. The pitch is sticky and hot, and the fumes sting your eyes. The only reminder of a world beyond this one. You might steal a moment on deck, leaning on the railing, staring out at the endless dark water. Or you are sent to clean below deck, among the rats and barrels and shadows. The bilge always smells of rot. You kneel, you scrape. When the bell rings, you move. Slowly at first, then faster. You are pulled from your hammock, thrown onto the deck with the others, ordered to reef the sails. Hands move fast, boots slip, rain lashes your face, lightning flashes, thunder shakes the world. The rigging must be inspected, retied, checked again. The ropes are rough, thick with tar and salt. Your palms become blistered, your arms strained. His coat soaked, his eyes fixed on the horizon like it owes him something. Climbing the rigging in a storm is the worst. The rope burns your hands. The wind howls in your ears. One slip and you are gone. Every sailor is part of a watch team assigned to different parts of the ship. 4 hours on, 4 hours off. Day and night, rain or shine, the ship does not rest, neither do you. Your first task is to scrub. Always scrub. Your knees become raw over time. Clean water ran out weeks ago. You drink what is left. Breakfast is a chunk of salted pork, if you are lucky, or hardtack those dry, flat biscuits as hard as stone. You wash it down with sour ale or water that tastes like the inside of a barrel. The day is long, longer than it should be. The sails must be adjusted constantly. There are men who have fallen and never been seen again. The sea does not return the dead. Sometimes you are told to caulk the deck, melting pitch over planks that groan with every wave. At night, the cold seeps in, the wind changes, The stars appear overhead. There is peace there, sometimes, but peace is short. When storms arrive, they do not knock. They roar. The sky splits open, and the sea rises like a mountain. You do not think, you just move. Grab rope, pull, secure the sail. Shout into the wind. Someone is swept across the deck. Someone else vanishes into the foam. The captain does not stop. He bellows from the helm. When it is over, the silence feels heavier than the storm. The ocean breathes. The crew limps below deck. No words are spoken. None are needed. And when sleep comes, it is deep, dreamless, like falling into water. Then the bell rings again, and the grind continues. The sea does not kill quickly. It kills slow, with silence. Then months you have not seen land. The sky and water have become the same endless color. The crew moves like ghosts. No one speaks unless they must. There is nothing left to say with rot. It feels like cloth over bone, cold. They sew him into his own hammock with a heavy stone at the feet. He is slid across the deck, where the railing has been opened. A moment of quiet, a prayer, if the captain allows it. Then the canvas slips into the sea, a splash, then nothing. Too cold, the ship's log might say, but you cannot read it. Says it hums to him when the wind is high. You can only feel the shift in the wind and taste the salt in your mouth. Your skin is darkened, cracked. Your lips are always dry. Only his shoes remain tucked neatly beside a coil of rope. Then the salted meat began to stink, even through the barrel lids. Some eat it still. Others chew on rope ends just to feel something soft between their teeth. With hunger that hides behind the ribs, and sickness that blooms in the gums before it ever touches the lungs. First, you grow thin. Then your gums swell. They bleed when you eat. When you smile, they are the only things that have not changed. Somewhere, he stands on the quarterdeck, coat snapping in the wind, spyglass fixed on the horizon. He never looks at the men anymore, only at the distance. If you ever do, your teeth seem loose. Maybe it was a story told to keep you working. Maybe this is the world, now wood and rope and sky and water. The shouting, the sawing, the silence after. You spit blood into your hand and say nothing. Weeks pass. The fresh food ran out early. The bread was the first to turn, then the fruit, what little there was. A man stumbles with a limp that worsens by the day. His leg is blackened by the time the surgeon sees him. There is no medicine, no clean cloth, just a saw and a bottle of rum. Your body begins to change. It is scurvy. You do not understand it, but the surgeon does. He has seen it before, many times. He says it is because of the food, then nods, that is all. Or the lack of something in the food. He shrugs. He cannot fix it. The man in the hammock beside you grows quiet. He does not get up anymore. When you touch his hand one night, the watch bell rings, but he does not stir. The boatswain checks him. In the morning you sail on. He is not the last. Others fall to fever, to infections from cuts and rope burns. You do not watch. You hear it, though the ship smells worse now. Men barely move below deck. When it rains, they do not dance anymore. They just tilt their faces up and drink. Not from joy, but from thirst. Every day blends into the next. You do not remember what month it is. Some pray, others mutter curses at the sea. Some stare over the edge for hours. One man begins talking to the mast. He disappears one night. No one saw him go. The crew shrinks, slowly, quietly. The ship groans, louder than before. Or maybe it is just that there are fewer voices now to cover the sound. Still, the captain presses forward, always forward. He believes land is ahead. You begin to wonder if land is even real. A floating prison with no guards, no walls, and no end. You cough in your sleep now, a wet, heavy cough. You keep it quiet. You do not want the surgeon to notice. Instead, you look up at the stars, and in the hush of night, the ocean rolls on. The sea is cruel, but not nearly as cruel as the man who commands it. You learn early that the ship is not a democracy, it is a ladder, and you are very far down. At the top, there is the captain. You do not speak to him, you barely look at him. He stands apart from the crew, aloof, stiff, and clean compared to the rest. While you crouch over wormy biscuits, he dines behind a closed door with wine, fruit, and meat kept in hidden stores. Then the petty officers, then you and the rest of the common crew. None of this is spoken of. Everyone knows. No one dares to mention it. You are not told why. You are just told when to climb, when to scrub, when to carry, when to wait. Always, discipline is the spine of the voyage, the captain says. Without it, a ship turns to chaos, his boots polished, his coat dark, his eyes unreadable. He eats better than you, sleeps better too. The surgeon applies something black and bitter. The boy does not cry again. He does not speak much either. Below him is the first mate, then the quartermaster, then the boatswain. A barrel crashes and nearly crushes a man. The sailor is called forward. He stammers, tries to explain. The captain does not speak. Orders come down like waves, each one stripped of patience. When one of them walks by, men stand straighter. Even in sleep, you sense their presence, shirt torn down the back. The whip sings. His spyglass never leaves his hand. He watches the stars. Or perhaps he watches the sea for something only he knows. The boatswain carries a length of rope, coiled on his hip like a serpent. Only the officers see the charts. You are told what you need to know, nothing more. It has a name, the Tales. You learn this not from books, but from sound. The sound it makes when it strikes a man's back. A sharp, slicing crack that cuts through the crash of waves. Punishment is public. You see it first when a young sailor forgets to tie a coil properly. A rope slips. The boatswain steps forward. The boy is tied to the mast. Every man is watching his own back. Some try to curry favor with officers. Others disappear into silence. There are whispers, rumors. Some say a man was thrown overboard for stealing sugar. Others say he was simply too weak to finish his shift. Afterward, he cannot work for days. His back is raw, infected. You begin to walk carefully, speak less. You keep your knots tight. You scrub harder. You eat faster. You sleep lighter. Trust is rare on board. The truth does not matter. Only survival. The officers sleep in separate quarters. Their hammocks do not sway beside yours. They do not share food. They do not share air. Sometimes the captain walks the deck at night. You hear his boots, slow, deliberate. No one knows where the ship is going anymore. The maps are locked away. The heading is a secret. One man asks a question during mess, a harmless question about when they might see land again. The next day, he is reassigned to the bilge, the lowest part of the ship, alone in the dark, among the rot and the rats. He does not ask again, and so the hierarchy holds. From the top, the captain gives no explanation. From the bottom, the crew obeys without voice. The ship sails forward, pulled by wind and fear. And every night, as you sway in your damp hammock and hear the waves crashing below, you remind yourself you are still alive. The days begin to slip, not just one or two but all of them. You lose track. The sun rises, the sun sets, the sky grows pink, then orange, then blue again. You know it moves, but your eyes no longer trust what they see. It is just a loop, a blur, a spinning wheel of light and salt. The ropes, the deck, the mast, the creaking wood, and the flapping sails. You know every groan in the planks, every knot in the railing. You could walk the length of the ship blindfolded and never miss a step. You ask a mate if he remembers how long it has been. He shrugs, says time stopped after the second storm. You wake to the same sounds, the same voices, the same wind across the deck. You have not seen land in weeks, maybe months, a shadow, anything. You understand what he means. The world has narrowed. There is only the ship. It is never warm, blurred like something seen through wet glass. But beyond the wood, there is nothing, just water. He clings to the topmast, staring at the sky. When they shout for him, he does not answer. You drink whatever is handed to you. You count the knots in the rope. You tie them again. The waves slap the hull like a heartbeat. You begin to dream of water, cold water, dark water, and voices calling from below. Endless water, blue when the sun is high, black when it is not, sometimes green when the sky is sick with clouds, sometimes silver under moonlight, but always the same, always stretching to the edge of the world. You find yourself staring at it for too long. Sometimes you think you see it, land, perhaps. Some call it sea mirage, others call it madness. The older sailors do not speak of it, but you catch their glances. They stare at nothing with hollow eyes. They mutter under breath. One man keeps counting knots in the rigging. Another whispers to his boots. A third has begun speaking in rhyme. No one questions it anymore. It is the sea. They say it gets into your head. At night, the ship groans louder. You lie in your hammock and listen. The wood sounds alive, like it is breathing. You wake drenched in sweat, but the air is not warm. You try to remember your village, your family, a face, a voice, a name. But the memory feels too far away now. One morning, a man climbs the rigging and does not come down. The captain orders him chained below deck. He is not seen again. No one speaks of it. You keep your thoughts to yourself. You keep your eyes forward. You work. You eat. Even laughter disappears. You cannot remember the last time someone truly laughed. There is no joy here. Only waiting. Waiting for land. Waiting for orders. Waiting for something to change. You tell yourself you are not going mad. You tell yourself you are strong. But sometimes you stand at the railing too long, and the ocean stares back. The word alone is enough to stir a sailor's heart. It begins as a whisper, a rumor passed from the forecastle to the midshipman to the cook. Then someone says they saw birds, then driftwood. Then the captain steps onto the quarterdeck and says nothing, but he holds the spyglass a little longer than usual. Then, one morning, there it is. A line on the horizon, a dark shape against the endless blue. Jagged, still solid, imagined warm fires, soft beds, food that grows from the earth and does not float in barrels. A place where your feet will not sway beneath you. A place without sails, without orders, without salt caked behind your ears. Land. Shirts are rinsed in seawater and hung to dry. Faces are wiped. Teeth are picked clean with fishbone. Even the smell seems to lift from the wood as the coast draws near. For days you have dreamed of it. The ship groans as it approaches the shallows. The crew works twice as hard. Every man suddenly moves with purpose. Buckets scrub the deck, but port is not rest. Some return with empty coin pouches and glassy eyes. Others do not return at all. Port is labor, waiting for rations, waiting to fill a canteen, waiting to be told you may leave the ship, only to be told to come back sooner than promised. You are not there to enjoy it. You are there to unload, to carry, to scrape barnacles off the hull, to scrub the salt from every bolt and nail. You cannot read the signs. The cities are too fast, the lights too strange. You try to drink your way into feeling human again, but it only makes you tired and sore and heavier in the morning. Faces look downward. The food tastes the same. The sails catch the same wind. The waves slap the hull like they always did. The endless blue returns. The people speak in a tongue you do not understand. Their clothes are bright. Their skin is darkened by sun and wind in different ways. And you wonder how long until you forget that land ever existed at all. The ship must be resupplied. Barrels of fresh water, sacks of grain, crates of supplies, too heavy to lift without another man's help. You sweat more on land than you ever did at sea. And still, it is not home. The port is foreign. The air smells strange of flowers, fruit, and other things you cannot name. You are told not to stray far from the docks. Some sailors vanish anyway, into the streets, into alleys, into brothels and back rooms and corners of cities not meant for sea-worn strangers. One man is found the next morning, asleep in a pile of fishing nets, his pockets turned inside out, his boots missing. He says nothing. The captain gives shore leave in short bursts, just a few hours. Most of it is spent waiting in lines. And even if you had gold, even if you had the freedom to roam, where would you go? You are a sailor. You smell of tar and sweat and old rope. You cannot speak the language. You miss the ocean, but only because it is what you know. You are not made for land anymore. When the ship sets sail again, the crew is quieter, and the land slips behind you. A dream you could not touch. A rest you never truly had. You climb the rigging that evening and look back toward the fading shore. You breathe in the salt. You feel the rope in your hands. The ship creaks, the sails strain. The world becomes water again, and your body moves with it, as if it never left. There is a saying on board: better to face a storm than a whisper. Storms are loud, they scream, they strike, but whispers linger, and the sea is full of whispers. Every sailor knows that the ocean has moods. Some days she cradles the ship like a mother rocking a cradle. Other days she waits, still and silent, too still. And when the wind dies and the sails hang loose like wilted flags, you know the sea is watching. That is when the whispers begin. They say never whistle on deck. It calls the wind, but not always the kind you want. Men who whistle often bring storms. They are watched, silenced, or scratch small marks into the timber beside their hammocks, one for each day they live. To harm one is to call death upon the crew. One man did once, not on this voyage, long ago. The story is still told in low voices, of lights beneath the surface, dancing far too deep to be fish. One sailor swears he heard music once faint high and sad coming from beneath the waves during a dead calm. A broken mast, a snapped keel, a ship that never reached land again. They say never kill an albatross. The white bird is a sign of protection. It means the souls of lost sailors are near. If it stays long, it is a good sign. If it dies, it is a curse. If it circles and leaves, it means nothing, but everyone remembers it anyway. Crosses, shells, small pouches tied with string and tucked beneath shirts. The man is sent to mop the galley floor for hours. They rub them in their palms when the clouds grow dark. Some men wear trinkets, charms carved from bone or driftwood, that the ocean is not empty, but full of eyes you cannot see. Others pray, not loudly, but in murmurs before sleep. They clutch the beads they carry. There are stories, too. It hides things, whole worlds beneath its surface. You learn to stop asking questions. You just listen and wait. Of ghost ships seen on moonless nights, of red water that brings fever. And in that silence, you understand why sailors believe in things they cannot name. No one laughed at him. No one ever does. The sea is too big, too old, too unknown. He says, someone whispered to him from the foot of his hammock. No one was there. They move him to another corner of the deck, burn a sprig of herbs stolen from the last port, say words no one dares to translate. Sometimes a sailor is found pale and shaking after a dream, and still the voyage continues. When a bird lands on the ship, it is watched. One morning, the sea is glass, no wind, no waves, the sails hang useless. The ship does not move. For 2 days, it drifts. The crew becomes quiet, faces tighten. Even the officers seem uncertain. A man begins to hum, just a tune, nothing strange, but the captain hears it and orders silence. No one questions it. Because the sea has rules, not written ones, not spoken by the captain, but old ones, deeper than rope and canvas. You begin to feel it too, that sense that you are not just floating, but being watched. At night, when you lie in your hammock, the ship groaning softly with the swell, you stare upward at stars that never change. Because out here, logic is not enough. There are too many things beneath the waves, and too many whispers in the wind. The maps were never perfect, lines drawn by men who had never seen the lands they sketched, whole coastlines guessed at islands misplaced, compass roses spinning with arrogance, directions scribbled by candlelight on damp parchment. His finger traces invisible lines on the map, eyes fixed, lips tight. But the crew grows restless, and you, caught between their guesses and the wind. So you sail forward, always forward, the way the first mate no longer leaves his cabin without a blade tucked under his belt, the way the boatswain lowers his voice when the captain is near, the way the crew falls silent when officers pass. The punishment is public, like always, but the reaction is different this time, until you begin to wonder if forward is a real direction. The captain insists he knows the course. He speaks of stars, wind, and tides. The wind picks up, but the sails do not rise as fast as they used to warm and to still. A third counts the meals and says the rations will not last 2 weeks more. Whispers begin again, not orders, not a fight. The ship lurches, screams, wood splits, barrels crash, water floods below. Just sharp, breathless argument. Then footsteps, then silence. You hear waves, and sobbing, and someone calling for a name you do not know. Not thunder, but windless rain. A heavy gray curtain falling for days. The sails sag with water. The ropes grow slick, the deck floods ankle deep. One man says the sun is rising in the wrong place. Another swears the water tastes different, like river water. No one has seen land in over a month. You begin to notice the subtle changes. One night, you hear shouting below deck. Others shout at clouds. A man wades into the sea one morning and does not return. The next day, the men work slower. Rope hangs loose. Buckets go unfilled. The captain orders the lash. 2 men are tied. The whip cracks. It is louder than the sea. You scream. You wave what cloth you can find. The boat passes. No one flinches. No one watches. No one speaks. The silence is heavier than the screaming. And then comes the storm. Not wind. You are soaked for a week. Your boots rot from the inside. Your skin breaks open in places. Salt water scabs. No land. Palm trees. White sand. Birds. The crew roars. You weep without knowing why. And still, then, one morning, the lookout sees Eton Island. The captain orders the approach, but the reef is hidden, sharp as knives. The hull tears open, a sound like thunder. You are thrown sideways, crushed between crates. Someone drags you by your collar. The world tilts, and then silence. You wake on sand. Your throat burns. Your hands are cut. The sun is merciless. Only part of the crew made it. The ship is splintered. The food is gone. The captain is gone. You walk the island. It is small. No houses, no fire, no boats, and no rescue. You gather wood. You build shelter. You try to catch fish. You fail. You drink from a pool inland. It tastes like metal. Days pass, then weeks. Some sit in silence, staring at the water. Then one day, a sail appears. Far off, small, moving fast. You run. It does not stop. You never knew a person could break without bleeding. And now, even if another ship came, you are no longer sure you would leave, because something in you has sunk deeper than the ship ever did. Something that floats in your chest like driftwood, hollow, silent, and the sea. It watches still. Not every sailor dies at sea. Some do come back, not many, and never unchanged. If you are among the few whose ship returns to port, whose sails are still whole, whose crew still numbers more than ghosts, then perhaps you will walk again on cobblestones instead of planks. Perhaps you will smell smoke from chimneys and bread from ovens and feel earth under your feet that does not shift with the tide. But you will not be the same. Your skin is stained by salt and sun and time. You walk differently, now lightly, as if the ground might move beneath you at any moment. You flinch at the sound of horses, of hammers, of people shouting in the street. You turn when someone slams a door, heart racing. Your sleep is shallow, filled with creaking and wind and the sound of waves that are not there. Your body has changed. Your back aches in the mornings. Your hands are thick with callus and scar. They smile, they embrace, but their eyes search your face for the boy who left. He is not there. Your mind has changed too. You find yourself staring at Water River Lake. Rain in a barrel land feel the old rhythm rise in your chest. The noise of cities is too sharp, too fast. If you had a family, they may not recognize you. They stare at ships tied tight to the docks, their sails furled like sleeping wings. They smell the pitch, the wood, the brine. Something inside them stirs. You eat in silence. You keep your cup full. You watch the sky without thinking. Your fingers twitch at invisible ropes. Some sailors stay. They marry. They work the docks. They sell their stories for ale, but they are never quite part of the land again. There is always something missing behind their eyes, a piece left out on the waves. He tells of storms and monsters, of men lost to waves, of islands no map shows. His voice is soft, his eyes are distant. You will not know how much of it is true. Maybe none, maybe all of it. Others cannot stay. They grow restless. They walk to the harbors without knowing why. It is not longing, not exactly. It is the echo of something that does not let go. They sign on again and again until they vanish. One day you might sit in a tavern and hear an old sailor speak. But there is one thing you will feel, even if you do not understand it. He never came back, not fully. The sea kept something, a name, a voice, a year of his life, perhaps more. And in quiet moments, even in sleep, it still calls to him, just as it will call to you, because no one truly leaves the sea. It only lets them walk away for a while. The sea has no graveyards, no stones, no markers, no names carved into earth, only stories and silence. You do not know how many ships vanished. No one does. There were no rescue fleets, no letters home, only time, distance, and a stretch of blue too vast to measure. The ones who disappeared simply became part of the ocean's memory. The names of captains are written in ink, but the names of common sailors, of the ones who climbed the rigging and bled into the ropes, of the ones who scrubbed the deck and coughed themselves to sleep, they are lost, not forgotten, just carried away by the tide. To take without cruelty, without noise, to wrap a life in waves and salt and sky, and keep it there, beyond the reach of time. And in some quiet way, maybe that was the only way the sea gave mercy. You think about that as you rest. Perhaps the ship drifts still, somewhere far beyond the horizon, under a moon no map has charted. The ship creaks, the wind shifts, your hammock sways gently beneath your back. You are no longer cold, no longer hungry, no longer afraid, just still. The journey has ended, or perhaps it has only paused. The sky is calm, the ropes are quiet, the sails full. But here, now, there is peace. The storms are behind you, and beneath you the sea breathes, steady, slow, eternal. You gave everything to the ocean, and it gave you rest. So close your eyes now, let the wind rock you, and sleep.